Roronoa Zoro. Let's talk about Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter. He's literally one of only two guys in the whole worst generation who isn't a captain. Every other member of the worst generation had a bounty over 100 million berries before they even reached Sabaody. They were leaders, shot callers, captains of their own crews. But Zoro was just the first mate, and he still made the list. And this dude doesn't even have a devil fruit. Everything you see from Zoro comes purely from raw physical strength, technique, and an iron will that's basically unbreakable. When he cuts a ship in half with one clean swing, that's just Zoro being Zoro. And honestly, that makes him straight up scarier than half the people with powers, because you can't just throw seawater on him or slap Seastone cuffs on him and call it a day. After getting absolutely destroyed by Mihawk at Barati, Zoro made a promise. He told Luffy he would never lose another fight until he becomes the world's strongest swordsman. And he's been keeping that promise. During the 2-year time skip, he trained directly under Dracula Mihawk, the strongest swordsman alive. For 2 whole years, Zoro did nothing except grind his skills under the very man he eventually needs to surpass. When we saw him again after the time skip, the difference was totally night and day. Remember Monet, the Logia user from Punk Hazard? Zoro scared her so hard with just his killing intent that she literally couldn't reform her snow body. Zoro didn't even use Haki for that. He just intimidated her, and her body refused to function properly. In Wano, Zoro straight up proved he belongs in the same conversations as the absolute top-tier monsters of the One Piece world. He fought Yonko Kaido, the guy literally known as the strongest creature alive, and he actually injured him. Zoro gave Kaido the second permanent scar he's had since Odin, using Enma and Conqueror's Haki. Kaido himself admitted it. When the strongest creature on the planet looks at you and basically says, "Yeah, you definitely hurt me," you've stepped into a whole different level of power. Of course, we've got to talk about the fight with King. King was Kaido's right-hand man, a Lunarian, one of the rarest and toughest races out there. These people were once called gods. Their bodies are naturally harder than almost anything. And Zoro beat him. Not just beat him, he figured out King's abilities, adapted in the middle of the fight, and took him down even though he was already heavily injured from clashing with Kaido. His bounty jumping to over 1.1 billion berries makes total sense when you look at everything he pulled off. And he's one of the few people who can actually use all 3 types of Haki. Now, we all know that One Piece is not just a story. It's a world full of deep ideas, history, and hidden meanings that Oda has built over 20 years. If you want to truly understand it, this is the place for you. Like the video to support our journey, share it to spread the knowledge, and subscribe so you don't miss any new breakdowns. Next, Basil Hawkins. When you picture a pirate, you usually think of someone who talks all cool and edgy, saying stuff like they don't believe in fate, and they make their own luck. Yeah, that is absolutely not Basil Hawkins. He was born in the North Blue, and his crew was building a pretty solid reputation before getting tricked and manipulated by Apoo, another member of the worst generation. This tarot-reading pirate knows exactly what his cards say about him. Basil Hawkins is totally different from the loud, wild troublemakers who usually pick piracy as a lifestyle. When he ran into the legendary pirate Kaido, Hawkins took one look at him and instantly understood that the future where he fights Kaido and wins basically does not exist. So he decided he needed to join him, and just like that, he became one of Kaido's subordinates. Hawkins is also known as the Magician. He uses a whole set of mystical, occult-themed abilities to mess with the fate of his enemies. Maybe control is not the right word, since he mostly plays with tarot cards to read how a fight will end or how someone's destiny is about to wrap up. From what I know, his tarot readings are actually extremely accurate. This dude honestly should have gone into trading and playing the stock market instead of becoming a pirate. Anyway, his devil fruit is the Wara Wara no Mi, which lets him create straw from his body. That straw can then be used to make voodoo dolls of someone, and those dolls can take damage in Hawkins's place. Imagine punching Hawkins in the face, but your best friend gets knocked out instead. Hawkins can also turn himself into a giant scarecrow with blade-like claws, and he can summon a straw man, an even bigger scarecrow, that attacks enemies or does all kinds of different things depending on the card he draws. His first bounty was 249 million, but it eventually rose to 320 million berries. Marshall D. Teach. Time to talk about the man who basically broke every rule in the pirate world. This dude looked at the entire One Piece world and flat out decided he would take everything for himself. This man spent decades on Whitebeard's ship, acting like a loyal crewmate, all while waiting for one specific devil fruit, the Yami Yami no Mi. When Thatch found the fruit instead of him, Teach killed him, stole the fruit, and disappeared. Then he went even darker. He captured Ace, his former crewmate, and traded him to the Marines to get a Shichibukai position. That single move kicked off the entire Marineford War. The bloodiest conflict in recent history happened because Blackbeard understood exactly which domino to push. Right after that, he immediately betrayed the Marines, broke into Impel Down, recruited the most dangerous criminals still breathing, and dipped out like it was nothing. At Marineford, while everyone was distracted, he stole Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi and became the first person in history to hold the power of 2 devil fruits. Yami Yami lets him cancel other devil fruits and pull everything in like a black hole. Gura Gura lets him basically crack the whole planet. That combination is ridiculously overpowered, to the point it should not even exist. Right now, he's a Yonko with a bounty of 3.996 billion berries. He defeated Marco and the remaining members of the Whitebeard pirates. He defeated Trafalgar Law, another pirate with a 3 billion bounty who took down Big Mom. Even Rayleigh, the Dark King, admitted he would lose to the Blackbeard we have today. He's insanely strong and still hunting for even more power. And he's the one continuing the will of Davy D. Jones, becoming the king of the world, basically another D, and I'm basically thinking about making a whole video on the meaning of the D. Jewelry Bonney. Time to talk about the one member of the worst generation that almost everyone totally misunderstood. Jewelry Bonney, and she is only 12 years old. Bonney was born with sapphire scales, a deadly disease that makes your skin grow sapphire-like scales and eventually kills you. She was only expected to live 10 years. Her mother, Ginny, a member of the Revolutionary Army, died from the same disease. And her adoptive father, Bartholomew Kuma, had to make the most brutal choice of his life. He turned himself into a pacifista, giving up all consciousness and freedom in exchange for a cure from Vegapunk. After being cured, Bonney set out to sea to find her father. She had to use the Toshi Toshi no Mi to change her age and look like an adult just to survive in the pirate world. A 9-year-old kid starting a pirate career, and by age 10 she already had a 140 million berry bounty. Now it's 320 million. But the Toshi Toshi no Mi doesn't just change her age, it lets Bonney become any future version of herself that she can imagine. If she imagines herself as strong as Nika in the future, she can temporarily get that power. Yeah, she can temporarily rock the strength of Gear 5 Luffy. This is literally one of the most broken devil fruits in the entire series, and most viewers haven't even realized its true potential yet. Here's what makes her a straight-up national-level threat. Bonney has supreme command over all the pacifistas with Kuma's DNA. Her command is higher than even the 5 elders. Nusjuro made it clear. With control over the pacifistas, Bonney could destroy an entire country. That's why the world government put her at the top of their kill priority list. Trafalgar Law. Law was born in Flivance in North Blue, but the entire city was poisoned by amber lead, a mineral the government knew was toxic but let people mine for profit. When the poisoning symptoms started showing, neighboring countries didn't help. They shut their borders and killed anyone trying to escape. They were scared the disease would spread, even though it wasn't contagious. 10-year-old Law had to watch his family die, and all his friends tricked onto ships and slaughtered. He survived by hiding in piles of corpses to escape. And instead of collapsing, he decided, if the world wants him dead, he's going to drag the whole world down with him. That's why a 10-year-old kid covered himself in bombs and showed up in front of Doflamingo, demanding to join his crew. And that's when Law met Corazon, the guy who threw him out a window the first time they met, but eventually became the father figure Law never had. He was the first person in years to treat Law like a kid who actually needed saving. Corazon stole the Op Op no Mi from his own brother and gave it to Law, because it was the only way to cure amber lead syndrome, and he sacrificed his life to protect Law. Now, let's talk about the Ope Ope no Mi, because this devil fruit is absolutely broken. Inside Law's room, he's basically a god. He can teleport, cut people into pieces while keeping them alive, swap personalities between bodies, remove hearts like taking candy from a kid, and that's just the basic stuff. His awakening is insane. Instead of creating a room around an area, he can coat objects like his sword with room and manipulate enemies' internal organs from the inside out. Wano? That's where Law really proved himself. Alongside Kid, he defeated Big Mom, an emperor who ruled the seas for decades. Law's bounty jumped from 500 million to 3 billion berries, matching Luffy's bounty and making him one of the most wanted pirates in the world. And the dude is smart as hell. Law orchestrated the entire plan to take down Doflamingo, formed an alliance with Luffy knowing exactly how to use Straw Hat's chaos to his advantage, and played the long game for years to perfectly position himself for revenge. He became a warlord not because he wanted to work with the government. It was purely tactical. to get closer to Doflamingo and access the info he needed. And about the will of D? Law carries it in his name, and is one of the few actively trying to understand its meaning. He wants to know why Corazon cared so much about D, why the world government fears it, and the role it plays in history. In the Century of Void, and the final war to come, Law's knowledge and strategic mind could be a key piece. His devil fruit alone is worth 5 billion berries. It gives insane healing powers, and can even grant immortality. Immortality? You know who that makes you think of? Oh, and he's got D in his name too? Destiny definitely picked this guy. Eustass Kid? This dude looked at Shanks, one of the strongest guys in the world, and straight up thought, yeah, I can fight him. Twice. And he got absolutely destroyed both times. But that's what makes Kid so damn interesting. I like this guy. Kid had the highest starting bounty among the 11 supernovas. 315 million berries. Not because he's the strongest, but because he caused the most collateral damage. He literally doesn't care who's in his way. Everything's just an obstacle to smash. His Jiki no Mi turns him into Magnet Man. He controls metal and magnetic forces, can build giant arms, create metal golems around his body, or even make a massive mech bull. After awakening his devil fruit, he can magnetize anything, even people, and fire insane railguns, electromagnetic blasts at crazy speeds. Don't even think about the science behind it, just know it's absolutely awesome. And here's where Kid proves he's not just a reckless hothead. He teamed up with Law and took down Big Mom. Kid and Law pushed her to the absolute limit and actually brought her down. His bounty shot up to 3 billion berries. After leaving Wano, Kid decided to challenge Shanks again at Elbaf, and this time, Shanks crushed Kid's entire crew in a single strike. Damn, this guy is seriously wild. Kid has Supreme King Haki, and this dude probably inherited the devil fruit of Captain John, a fruit that could magnetically pull all treasure toward him. Killer. Well, the only one who can actually keep Kid in check when needed. Just like Zoro, he's one of the non-captains in the worst generation. Both are untouchable right hands to their captains. Both are pure swordsmen with no devil fruits, and both are loyal enough to die for their captain without hesitation. His spinning death blades of his, the Punishers, aren't just for show. He can generate shockwaves inside his enemies' bodies, completely ignoring any outer defense. But Killer's story in Wano really shows just how brutal the One Piece world is. After Kid got wrecked by Kaido, Killer was captured and forced to eat a faulty smile. For those who don't know, smiles are cheap devil fruits made by Doflamingo, and if they're defective, they steal your ability to show any emotion besides a smile. And now, we've got a badass guy who smiles all the damn time. Now, here's a question nobody really talks about. Just how much potential does Killer actually have? And what role will he play in the final battle? Some people think the Kid crew will get wiped out early, but I'm not so sure. You know what I'm thinking? Killer ate a smile, and now he's smiling nonstop. And who else in the series smiles nonstop? Sun God Nika. Of course, Killer isn't actually Sun God or anything, but I don't think this is random. There's definitely something going on here, and I've got a lot of theories about it. Luffy. I could sit here all day talking about One Piece's main dude, but let's focus on what makes him the worst of the worst generation. And now, one of the 4 emperors ruling the seas. From the world government's view, no one is more dangerous than a 19-year-old kid who refuses to bow down and actually punches a celestial dragon right in the face. Straight up, Luffy is everything the world government fears. He's Dragon's son, leader of the Revolutionary Army. He's Garp's grandson, the Marine hero. He carries the will of D in his name, and on top of that, charisma that makes people from all walks of life follow him straight into hell and back. This isn't just about raw power, it's that Luffy represents an idea the government can't control: absolute freedom. After Wano, Luffy isn't just a promising rookie anymore. He defeated Kaido, strongest creature in the world. And in the process, he awakened the true nature of his devil fruit, Hito no Mi, model Nika. Turns out, the Gomu no Mi he thought he ate? Total cover-up. The fruit he really ate is a mythical zoan that turns him into Sun God Nika, a deity of liberation and joy. Gear 5th, Luffy's awakened form, is straight-up cartoon insanity. The dude can bend reality like a Looney Tunes character, turning the ground into rubber, grabbing lightning, and fighting in a style that totally defies logic. It's pure freedom. No physics, no rules, no conventional combat can hold him. Kaido, a guy who fought countless legendary pirates, straight up admitted that only a handful of the greatest pirates in history could stand against him. And Luffy? Just 19, and he's already on that list. His bounty is 3 billion berries, tying with Law and Kid. But the world government is downplaying how dangerous he is. If they revealed the full threat, like the fact he's the reincarnation of Joy Boy and the wielder of a fruit they tried to erase from history, chaos would explode worldwide. Luffy is the symbol of coming change that the government has feared for centuries. And influence? Luffy commands the Straw Hat Grand Fleet with thousands of members, is allied with the Revolutionary Army, has ties to multiple kingdoms, and earned respect from former warlords, emperors, and even some marines. He's stormed all 3 main government strongholds in Paradise, Enies Lobby, Impel Down, and Marineford, and survived every single one. Luffy fights for his friends, for freedom, and for his dream of becoming Pirate King, meaning ultimate freedom. That pure motivation makes people trust him completely. When Luffy says he'll protect you, he means it, even if it means going to war with the whole world. Recently on Egghead, Luffy fought Admiral Kizaru and one of the 5 elders, J. Garcia Saturn, at the same time. And Luffy, even weakened from previous fights, managed to hold off Saturn long enough that all 5 elders had to be summoned. Luffy is the key to unlocking secrets the government has hidden for 800 years. He's hope for the oppressed, fear for the powerful, and the embodiment of the coming change. Some people say Luffy gets too many power-ups, that his plot armor is too thick. Nah, bro, that's not even close. If you've seen the fights of legendary pirates from past generations, Luffy needs more growth, and he's only going to get stronger, trust me. In the new era, with the world order falling apart and the truth of the past coming out, Luffy is at the center of it all, ready to bring the dawn the world's been waiting for centuries. That's why he's truly the worst of the worst generation, not because he's evil, but because he represents everything the current world order was built to suppress. Urouge. Urouge comes from a sky island. He's the only member of the worst generation not from the Blue Seas, and that alone makes him stand out in a group that's already bizarre. This guy straight up defeated Charlotte Snack, one of Big Mom's sweet commanders, with a bounty of 600 million berries. His devil fruit hasn't been named yet, but its ability is pure nightmare fuel for anyone fighting him. He converts damage he takes into more strength and size. That means the more you hit him, the stronger he gets. Urouge's 108 million berries bounty might seem low compared to other supernovas, but remember, this dude's from the Sky Islands, where the world government barely has any presence. He was probably flying under the radar until he hit Sabaody. And after the time skip, him challenging the Big Mom pirates and surviving proves that bounty doesn't tell the whole story. Here's what really bothers me about Urouge. We know way too little about this guy. He's from the Sky Islands, which are connected to ancient weapons and the Century of Void. He is something. Capone Bege. He's the mafia don of the seas. Before becoming a pirate, Bege was the leader of one of the 5 biggest mafia families in the West Blue. But that still wasn't enough for him. This dude had ambitions so intense, he wiped out the other family leaders and took all the power for himself. After he controlled the entire West Blue, Bege realized that being a king in one small corner of the world felt way too tiny for someone like him. He needed a bigger stage. So he went out to sea, became a pirate, and brought his whole mafia mindset with him. Bege literally has a whole army hidden inside his suit. The Shiro Shiro no Mi turns him into a castle man, letting him store an entire fortress-like dimension inside his own body. Inside that space are weapons, tools, and a fully equipped army. And in an emergency, he can transform into a massive moving fortress with enough firepower to completely flatten a town. Bege's planning skills are absolutely wild. This man infiltrated Big Mom's crew, a Yonko crew, became a Rook combatant, married her daughter, and quietly built a plan to assassinate Big Mom right inside her own territory. Very mafia. Bege's bounty jumped from 138 million to 350 million berries. X-Drake. Imagine a Marine so good at acting like a criminal that he actually becomes one of the most dangerous wanted men in the world. First, let's talk backstory. Drake's dad, Diaz Barrels, used to be an upright Marine, a man Drake looked up to. But everything flipped when Barrels became a pirate. And not some romantic pirate like Luffy. This dude went full greedy, violent, even beat his own son. Young Drake had to watch his dad change. live through the violence, but still cling to the memory of the righteous Marine he once knew. When Doflamingo killed Barrels in a deal gone wrong, Drake escaped and was taken in by the Marines. And instead of running scared after all that, Drake decided to become exactly what his dad once was, a Marine. He climbed up to Rear Admiral and then did what almost no one has the guts to do. He faked, betraying the Marines to become the captain of SWORD, the Marine Headquarters' most secretive special ops unit. His mission? Infiltrate Kaido's beast pirates. Yeah, Drake had to trick Kaido, a Yonko with a full army of pirates who've lived the life. He had to be strong enough to make it into the Toboropo, the six-top Shinuchi of the beast pirates, while keeping his true identity completely secret. Yeah, this guy's impressive. And his power? Drake's got an ancient Zoan devil fruit that lets him turn into an Allosaurus, basically a T-Rex, but way deadlier. Ancient Zoans don't just boost strength and durability like regular Zoans, they give raw power and ferocity only prehistoric predators could have. He took down super rookies, and is one of the few pirates at Sabaody who could injure a pacifista without help. Drake's 222 million berry bounty might not be the highest in the worst generation, but remember, that's for a fake persona. He had to be dangerous enough to get respect like a supernova, but not so dangerous that he blew his cover. That's a tightrope between too weak and too strong, and he navigated it perfectly for years. Apoo, just one look at this guy and you know he's obsessed with music. He's an informant, a professional backstabber who's been working for Kaido in the shadows. He secretly set up the meeting with Kaido that led to Kid getting captured and tortured, and forced Hawkins to join the Beast Pirates. His devil fruit, Oto Oto no Mi, is straight up insane. He can turn his body parts into musical instruments and launch attacks through sound. These attacks aren't normal sound waves or shock waves. They're basically magical spells cast through music. If you hear the music, the attack hits instantly, no matter the distance. It's basically hit scan in video game terms. Pre-time skip, Apoo even landed hits on Admiral Kizaru. Kizaru, moving at light speed, couldn't dodge Apoo because the attacks weren't projectiles. But weakness? Simple, if you can't hear the music, the attacks fail. That's a solid counter, and it explains why once people figure out the trick, Apoo is less dangerous. Apoo's bounty jumped from 198 million to 350 million berries. And honestly, I think that's undervalued. Not because he's the strongest in a straight fight. There are plenty of supernovas stronger than him. But in intelligence gathering, betrayal, and manipulating from within, Apoo is top tier. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.